Startups are for suckers. Do not do a startup. Do both. Grow your company and then go buy it. Be on the hunt, look for another one. And I was like, use the cash flow from your current company, use that as your down payment to go get an SBA loan, 10% down, and go acquire another company. Now you got two companies in a portfolio, and now you're growing both.
What is up, Growth House family? It is your host, Jesse Ray, and today we have a very special guest. What is up, Josh Wilson?
Jesse, what's happening, man? This is great to be here, and I'm super excited to chat with you today.
Hey, likewise, man. And then you're based out there in New Orleans, is that correct?
It is, man. It's Nolans. It's not New Orleans. You got to get it right, Nolans. Yeah, man, I'm in New Orleans.
I love it, man. Well, dude, I want to just dive in because there's so much that I want to talk about with you, especially since you're in business acquisition, M&A, but you started in real estate. So let's take a step back. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Tell me what life looks like right now for you, and then we'll take a step back and how you got started, how you started in real estate, and then transition into what you're doing now.
Yeah, man, crazy how life unfolds. But 7 companies now, 160 plus employees, 4 states. We are crushing it. We have 3 deals under contract. One we just closed on at the end of the year. Just submitted an LOI like literally right before I got on this podcast with you. So we're partnering with people all around the country, and we are kicking ass and taking names right now in the M&A space.
My man is moving and shaking, even was a minute late because he had to close a deal, which I'm cool with.
Hey, you know, when the call comes in, you got to take it, you know?
Absolutely. Well, Josh, let's take a step back because no one just starts, having all these companies, all these employees across the nation, crushing life and business. So where did this journey begin?
Well, I'm a recovering real estate addict. So I got started in 2008, right during the Great Recession. And wow, what a humbling experience it was to be a real estate investor back then. I got started learning how to raise capital, learning how to do make-readies and all the fun stuff when it comes to just managing real estate. And then from there, man, I learned how to use other people's money, and I bird my way from 2008 all the way to 2021. Bird my way into a $25 million rental portfolio. Single families, multi, you name it. I had it all in there, and then started slowly divesting and selling that off in 2021 through years 2022. But I got my first lick and itch into M&A right before that. So bought a company right before COVID in Orlando, Florida. And that was like the light bulb that just like turned on the mergers and acquisition world. And look, my first deal was a small deal comparative to what we're doing now. I bought it for $350,000, $175 down, $175 financed. That deal today, man, still is paying me dividends. What a hell of a deal that was. It was a great deal. We bought that deal. We were doing, man, it's crazy looking back. We were doing like $60,000 a month in gross revenue. And now, our biggest month to date, we did $240,000. So it just goes to show you the growth and how M&A and business acquisition, you can really turn the dial up versus real estate. I know you got people in here that probably love real estate. Look, I love real estate too, but it's just a different dynamic now. I buy the businesses for the cash flow, and then I take the cash and store it into the real estate. So it's just, I still do real estate. It's just a different dynamic now. So
no, I totally get it. And I want to dive into that because I think a lot of people, especially the last couple of years, they're like, man, I can't even cash flow anything in real estate. And, everyone's like, hey, I want to live off of passive income and all that. So we're going to dive into that. But first, you mentioned something that I think a lot of the newbies have a hard time to get their head around, which is OPM. How do I leverage other people's money? And then also you just kind of glossed over the fact that, I just started raising money. So let's just stay right there for a second. And how are you able to start raising capital? What did that look like? And do you have any tips for people that are at that stage looking to raise other people, from other people?
Look, I made it sound easy. So let me back up a little bit. So when I first did my first deal, I actually drove as an NEMT driver. So I was a non-emergency medical transportation driver. I was growing my property management company at the time, had a second job doing NEMT driving. I took every single dollar I took from that NEMT job and I put it in a checking account, saved it for a down payment, and bought my first rental property. Well, what that did was I was the proof of concept. Okay. So I did it myself. It worked. I showed people that I was making great returns on this rental property deal. I refinanced my money out. I got my down payment back, and I was able to go do it again. But in order for me to really scale up, I couldn't just do that with $35,000, like waiting every 6 months. It would just take forever. So I learned how to raise capital. I said, look, this is what I did. I've done this 2 or 3 times. It works. It's a proven concept. Would you be interested in partnering with me on a deal? I'll pay you 15% on your money and I'll return your money in 6 months. And boom, got my first investor. They did it. They stayed on. And that's the thing, man. It's like when you pay them like that, like clockwork every month, like direct deposit, it's like a drug, like they want more. They want the income, So that's what we did. We kept doing that. We grew to, we were raising millions of dollars in capital at one point for the real estate. And then we just grew the portfolio. And so that's how I did it. But number one, I grew my social media presence. So that was number one. People had no idea who I was in the beginning. Then I started posting about my journey. I started letting people know what I'm doing. Like I'm at a property, I'm on video. I'm over here at this property, on Main Street. We're ripping off the roof today, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, my investor, Jane, she invested in this deal and she's making 15% of her money and she doesn't even have to come out here, So you drop those little nuggets every single time. And people are like, wait a minute, I want to be investor, Jane. How do I do that? So that's what I did. So I would post on social media, do that entire thing. And then once I did that, I started having people reach out and then they got to know me, right? So maybe they would invest with me in one deal and like try me out and see if they could trust me. And then I did. I performed and performed again and kept performing. So this day, knock on wood, we've had one deal go south and I lost my money, but I didn't lose my investors' money. I'm very proud of that. I've been doing this now for almost 20 years. And knock on wood, I have not lost a dime of investor money.
That's amazing. And you mentioned something that I think not too many people should, gloss over, which I want to talk about that story of what happened with that one deal. But you mentioned something and you said you documented your journey, which I think is so important for people starting off. One of my friends, Brian Lubin, who's also kind of in the similar space, he talks about, hey, if you're a rookie, it doesn't matter if you have 5, 10, 1,000 followers, like just document your journey, have that because people are going to want to invest with you as they see you just slowly learning the process and learning the game.
Yep.
And it seems like that's what you did. When did you start your social media journey?
Yeah, man, that was 2000. And I was on social media, but I didn't use it for business. Now my social media is purely all business. I think I got started really pumping out the content, but maybe, I'd say about maybe 10 years ago is when I really started really pumping out the content. And then I would say as of the last 6 years, it's been heavy, like consistent, doing reels, doing podcasts, doing, daily static posts, on my stories, doc. That's the other thing too, right? My fiance says this all the time. She says, you have to humanize yourself, so you have to, show some stuff about you and your family or you being goofy or you doing, funny things, like just it humanizes you. And I do that and it does, it works. And it's all part of the, the process of getting people to know, like, and trust me. And once they do, they're in my circle, they're in my community and they invest with me and we're able to make money together. And that's the greatest thing. So
I love that. I feel like there's two different types of people that raise capital. There's the people that don't want to be like in the public at all. They're behind the scenes. They have this investor list. And then there's people like you that attracted investors through social media. And it seems like you've kind of done both, but what would you say to like one of the people that maybe aren't?
I would definitely do the latter. The social media one, I feel like is way easier because all you're doing is documenting your journey and you're just letting people come into your sphere, like there's no hard selling. Like your journey and what you're doing is selling it for you. So I sell people on the results. Like, hey, this is what I did. This is what I'm doing. If you want to be a part of it, come on in. The water's warm. But I'm not like hard selling or hard pushing people to join me. I add them in. So like, another thing I do, right? And I'm sure other people do this too, but I'll go and like say, for instance, I did this one thing. We had a strong month on one of our P&Ls for one of our companies. And I posted like the bottom line P&L. Like I showed like the acquisition price on the sale when I bought the company, how much I bought it for. And I showed the bottom line P&L for what we did like in 1 year. And I posted it into a real estate community Facebook group. And it had like over 700,000 followers in this group. And I posted it in there and I was like, this is what, I'm a recovering real estate addict. I used to do real estate, all the time. But for you guys that are interested in increasing your cash flow, this is what can happen. This is how you can do it. And that post blew up. I got so many followers from that. I got thousands of followers from that. And some of those people invest with me today. Those are just little things that you can do. And that cost me zero money. I remember I was laying on a beach chair in Orlando at the Ritz-Carlton with my wife and kids at the time while they were in the pool. And I remember just thinking about this post. I'm like, oh man, I should do this. And I hurried up and created the post and popped it up there. And like next thing you know, I'll come back an hour later, it blew up. But those are little things you can do to attract the attention to yourself. But also the main thing is like at the end of the day, Jesse, is like you can do all that. But if you aren't delivering results and you aren't doing what you say you're going to do, and it's never going to work. You post all day long, but you have to actually commit to what you're doing. And I believe, I mean, I live and breathe this stuff. So I love doing this. I love mergers and acquisitions, and I love making investors tons of money, because at the end of the day, it's making us a ton of money. So
No, I already hear the passion. I can feel it all the way from over where you're at. So let's dive into this, man. What was that light bulb moment? You said you were in real estate. You had a big portfolio. I think you said $25 million. Things were probably going well. But what was that one light bulb moment that made you realize, ooh, I want to get into the M&A
it was
game?
the scariness of COVID, the thought of tenants not paying rent. When the first words of COVID started coming out, and like the leaks of like, oh, the country may shut down and all this stuff, I was like, man, I'm like, that would be weird if like, what if the tenants didn't pay rent? And I'm like, holy shit, like that's all I have. Like, what if they don't pay rent? I'm going to go bankrupt. And then I even called my banker at the time. I remember I was kind of nervous, and like, this was before it got like really bad and like shutting down and all that. I was just, I think way ahead, man. And I called my banker and I'm like, man, what would happen? Like, what would you guys do if like, I mean, I got like probably 6 months of runway where I can pay you. And then, I mean, if we go a whole year without rent, like, I don't think you can't underwrite for that. Like that's not normal. And so he said, Josh, we'll work with you, whatever, if you need to, we'll figure it out. Like, don't stress. Like, if you got 6 months, you should be good. I was like, okay, all right. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, like I got to get a business that can weather this type of environment in the event this ever happens again. And so that's what I did, man. I went on a freaking hunt and I found a business. I will say I'm very proud of this. I never missed one mortgage payment during COVID. I had over $100,000 a month in mortgage payments that I was paying. Didn't miss one. So very, very proud of that.
That's amazing. So what business did you get into? Were you like, all right, this is the type of business that I want to get into, the industry, or were you just looking for any deal that kind of cash flowed?
Full circle, right? Remember the story I was just telling you about the NEMT driver? Well, I used to be an NEMT driver to save money for down payments. Then I moved into looking for a business in Orlando as an NEMT company. So I bought an NEMT company. I became an owner instead of a driver. So that's what I did. I bought the NEMT company. I was very familiar with the business. I didn't want to go be a driver again, but I was familiar with the business enough to where I was able to take the leap and the step to acquire it. And now today we have 2 of those companies. So, yep. And we're under contract on a third. So
what do those numbers break down? What do they look like for you when you got your first deal?
Man, I love talking about this. My first deal is like, this is the crazy part. It's like when you're buying a company, you're not thinking like 5 months into the future of like what it could be. When I bought it, it was $350,000. I thought I was overpaying. I'm like, this is way too much money. What the hell? Like, I can't believe I'm even doing this. And I was excited, but also at the same time, I'm like, this is a lot of money and I got to go do all this work. And this guy doesn't, this guy's going to walk out of here and go off to the sunset. $350,000. I bought it. Year 1, we made $0. No money. And I did that. That was strategic. We didn't make any money because the old owner was driving. He was involved in the business and doing it. So I replaced him and that just squashed all my income. So fine. No big deal. Now I got to focus on sales. Got the operations dialed in. Just focus on sales. Boom. Years 2 to like 4. All we did. Sales. And we just ramped up. So now we're doing, we're doing probably close to almost 7 figures a year in cash. We're teetering. We're very close. We're in that 700, 800 mark. But that just goes to show you, man, like don't ever like estimate your value based off of like what you're doing today. Like in the future, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, yeah, it could have went down too. I could have lost it all as well. But if you put the time in, you put the effort in and you get the right people, that's another thing is that I've learned over the years is doing this as people. I used to do everything myself. And now we have a full C-suite. We got a CFO. I got a COO. Like I'm the CEO. I do capital and acquisitions now. And back then I would have never imagined where we are today, and so that little $350,000 company is now producing like 4 times what I bought it for every year. That's insanity. Yeah, man. So don't ever underestimate yourself.
I want to put myself and also you in the shoes of someone who's just starting and looking into this, acquiring businesses instead of starting one themselves. What would you say is the right route to go in 2025?
Startups are for suckers. Do not do a startup. Like, oh my God, let me save you the pain and the heartache. So you're going into 2025, you're looking for your next thing. I was on a consult call this morning. Guy asked me the same exact question. What would you recommend? Should I go and, should I just continue to grow my current company or should I go buy a new one? I was like, man, do both. Grow your company and then go buy it. Be on the hunt, look for another one. And I was like, use the cash flow from your current company, use that as your down payment to go get an SBA loan, 10% down, and go acquire another company. Now you got 2 companies in a portfolio and now you grow them both. And then eventually you get 3, Maybe you start adding on somebody else into your C-suite, and then you start getting a well-oiled machine. Now you got a holding company, and you got 3 entities. Shit starts growing, and you can tell, man, I get so excited, so fired up with this stuff. Just because, man, 6-7 years ago we were at 0. We're 1 company, and now we're at 7. So
walk me through that journey from 1 to 7. What did that process look like?
Yep. So bought the first one in Orlando. Smallest deal I've ever done. If you ask me today to do a deal like that, I'll never do a deal like that ever again, just because it's too small. My time is not worth that anymore to go in and it was like a rehab. If comparative to a real estate, like a rehab. Like if you're gonna go rehab a property, that was exactly what that business was. And I don't do rehabs. Especially in businesses, I'm not interested in doing that. You can go buy a company that's performing, been in business 10+ years, got a full management team, making 7 figures plus a year, and you can pull a $500,000 paycheck and not have to give yourself brain fog. So bought the first one in Orlando. I bought the second one in Miami. That was the one that I lost. So I bought the first one. Second one I bought in Miami. I just didn't do my due diligence, man. I got so blinded by the big payday. This was my first deal that I was staring down. That was a 7-figure cash flow deal, and I was super excited. I bought it for $1.9 million. I gave the guy $1 million in cash down. Financed $900,000 over 10 years. I thought it was a freaking slamming deal, like home run. I'm like, I just hit the lottery. This is great. It's going to change my life. We're going to be sitting on $150,000 a month of income. This is going to be a game changer. And then the day I closed, we were supposed to be doing $10,000 a day in gross sales. The day I closed, we did $500 in sales. I thought, and this was 2 days before Christmas, I was having a panic attack. I was freaking out. I'm like, I just gave $1 million of investor money. It wasn't my money. It was an investor money. So I raised $1 million. I gave it, to them. I thought it was it. I thought I was done. I thought I was out. Then all of a sudden, I get a call from a friend of mine who had been calling me about other deals. And he says, hey, man, I got this deal in Boston. You think you'd be interested? He's like, I showed it to you before, but you turned me down. Do you think you'd be interested in it again? And I'm like, dude, I'm bleeding out right now. I need something. I need $50,000 a month to help me stop this bleeding. I was paying attorneys $40,000 a month. I mean, it was bad. He showed me the deal. I went through the due diligence, and this guy was also hurting. It was making money. The deal was making $60,000 a month. It was doing well, but he was hurting because he was sucking all 60 of it, and just dumping it into his personal account, because a rental business, go figure, that was failing, and a flipping business that was failing. And he needed to supplement that. So he needed out. He's like, I want to get out. I just need some cash. Just get me where I was. And I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Okay, fine. So I gave him $150,000. I assumed his $1 million SBA loan. And then I put about $250,000 in the checking account. I had just sold some real estate. So I had a little bit of cash, and I needed to deploy it, because otherwise I was getting eaten all up by my attorney's fees. So I needed to hurry up and deploy it so I can get the cash flow rolling again. So what I did, man. So I took a freaking leap of faith. My wife at the time, God bless her heart, because she looked at me sideways when I said, we just lost $1 million. I'm about to go buy another deal for another $1.1 million, on a hope and a prayer that this is going to work. It did, man. That was the best damn thing that ever happened to me. That was the best deal I ever bought in my entire career, because I was up against the wall. I had no choice. I had to do what I had to do to protect my family and protect my income. Best damn deal. But here's the serendipitous part about all that, is that I went to the Bank of America to go meet the guy in Boston, Massachusetts, to go change the bank accounts. And when I walked up to him and I shook my hand out, I said, hey, man, how you doing? Josh Wilson, nice to meet you. Pleasure, working with you. He looked at me in the eye, shook my hand, and said, you're an angel. And I looked at him. I was like, what do you mean I'm an angel? He's like, you saved me from losing my house. And I looked right back at him and I shook his hand. I said, man, well, you saved me from losing mine. And so what a way the universe brings two people together, at the right time. I needed him just as much as he needed me. And now that deal today, I think we did $1.2 million last year in cash flow. So best damn deal I've ever done. Just crazy how the universe works, man. Sometimes, the things just align right when you need it.
It's an amazing story. What type of businesses were they?
That was special needs school transportation. So the one in Miami was medical testing centers, like STD, COVID, all that stuff. And then the one in Boston was special needs school transport.
So what do you look at when you're looking at these businesses? Because obviously they're across the board, different industries.
Yep. We look at a lot, man. I look at deals, probably 3 or 4 deals every other day, and you don't close on all of them. That's another thing, you're going to get deals that come across your desk, and you're going to be like, ooh, you get excited, you get squirrel syndrome, you think you jump at it. 90% of the deals that probably come to you'll never close on. That's just the statistics. It's the way it works. But there's that 10%. And when you do finally land on one, it's going to be great. I mean, the fruits of that usually generally work out. And I had a mentor tell me this the other day. He was like, Josh, the amount that you're swinging for the home runs, He's like, at some point, you're going to have base hits, you're going to strike out, and you're going to have home runs. So just keep swinging, don't stop. And that's what I do, man. Eventually, the odds are in my favor. You just want to lose. I mean, you want to win more than you lose, and that's where we're at. So we're one. I mean, out of 7, we're out of 8. We're one out. I mean, we're 1 out of 8 for losing, so it's not bad. We're 7 out of 8. So I forgot your question. I just completely went.
No, I was just saying, like, what do you look for when you're looking at the businesses? So it looks like you're looking at different industries. What about this? Let me ask you this one. What are 1 or 2 non-negotiables when you're looking at a business and whether or not to pull the trigger or not?
No restaurants. That's definitely number 1. I'm not interested in restaurants. Cannot do that. I did it once before. I thought I was full of piss and vinegar and thought I could. This was way back before I even got into M&A. I did that for like 3 months and I was like, this is just not for me. So restaurants, number 1. And I'm really not too keen on like laundry or bars either. Like bars, restaurants, negative. Just not my thing. And then laundromats, not so much either. Cody Sanchez does a lot of laundromat, stuff and all that. And to each his own. Like I'm sure it works well for her, but that's just too hands-on for me. I need something more passive. Oh, car washes is another one. No car wash. Maintenance hogs, man. I mean, unless you're building brand new and you're exiting within year 1 to 3, yeah, I would do it. But if you're buying if you're buying a car wash that's like 5 years old or older, you're gonna get crushed on maintenance. So don't do it. Those are the 3 things I would not buy.
Okay, so just to recap: no laundromats, no restaurants/bars. No car washes. What are the 3 best businesses to buy in 2025?
So I like the niche businesses, right? I want the ones that AI is not going to jump in and replace me. I want the very like niche down businesses. So like we're in like non-emergency medical transportation, and we like that because even if autonomous vehicles come out, we still need someone in the vehicle to monitor the patient, make sure that if they need anything, we can help them. They need someone to load them and unload them into the car. Like there's still some human component there. Special needs school transportation, right? We have kids that have their, autistic capabilities and characteristics, and they need special attention and they need care. We like that because, we're able to provide that care with, human to human interaction. It's, again, something that we feel like not yet is easily replaceable. So when we're looking at companies, I'm looking at those things. I'm looking at what can be replaced and who's going to replace me, or how is a robot going to replace me down the road. So, we like those very niche down businesses. Home services is extremely popular, but right now, Jesse, you're going to pay an arm and a leg for the home service stuff. And I really like the home service stuff. Don't get me wrong. I feel like down the road, like it's going to be very hard to replace that. They're saying, oh, well, AI is going to replace your toilets and things like that. Like if you're leaking, it's going to be able to fix itself. I call bullshit. I don't think that's going to, there's still going to be parts that need to be replaced. The toilet's leaking. You're going to have to call a company to come out. What if your house gets flooded, right? So that's another one I really like, a restoration company. So your hot water heater busts in your attic, your whole ceiling gets collapsed. Your robot's not going to come in here and be able to tear out your sheetrock and come in and fix everything. It's not going to happen, at least in our lifetime, I don't think. You would need an army of them, and they would have to be able to go get in the car, go to Lowe's, you know what I mean? I don't see that happening just yet, So I really like restoration companies. We were looking at one the other day in Las Vegas. We actually learned this morning we couldn't come to a deal, but yeah, man, we really like I really like restoration companies. Home services, I really like them, but everybody is buying them right now, so the multiples are just extremely high, and it's just I don't jump on that bandwagon. So find niche down businesses. Get very, very niche down specific.
What's your typical role that you play when you acquire one of these businesses? Do you jump in as CEO? Do you kind of hope that the C-level is already all there and you're just like, hey, I'm just an investor now?
Yeah. So it's a great question. When I first got started, I was the accountant, the CPA, the CEO, the director. I mean, I was everything, man. Now, it was funny because we did our last takeover and we bought a company for an EMT company in Lakeland, Florida in November of 2024, just past year. And I remember I flew out there and my COO was there, our GM from the other company was there, and we had the GM of the new company that was there. And I usually talk and try to pump up the team and let them know who I am and get them excited about our, vision and path going forward, and so that the morale is high and they're excited to be here. We want them to be excited to work for us. I get there and all of a sudden the COO, my COR, she starts saying stuff to the team, and then the GM says something, and then the next person says something, and I look at him, I'm like, I didn't even need to be here. Why am I here? And they all laugh and they're like, you can go home. You really don't need to be here. So I literally didn't say anything. It was the first time, and it was almost like a proud dad moment. Like it was the first time where I let go and I empowered my team to handle that takeover, and they handled it flawlessly. I didn't do one damn thing on that takeover. I bought it, signed the docs, and said, we closed, execute. And they went to work. My CFO went the team, got the accounting team together, gathered all the AP stuff, gathered all the AR stuff. I mean, they did everything. Like they set up all the QuickBooks files, they set up the operational stuff on the, on our driving app and all that, trained all the new drivers, got new vehicles. I just had to sign documents for the new vehicles. Literally, it was actually a very proud moment for our company, for JW Global. It was great. It was a great moment. I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. I don't mind. I speak at all the company parties when we go every year. I go around. We call it the JW Circuit. We literally, our Christmas parties, man, every year. It's like we spend 1 week and I'm on the road every single day going to Christmas parties all around the country. It's an awesome thing to do. But by night 7, my voice is gone. I've said the same thing like 9 times. I love what I do, man. I really do love it.
I love that, man. What's the ideal exit for you? Well, why are you buying these companies? Are you buying them for, a 2 to 3 year turnaround? Are you looking to have more of a legacy play with these? What's your thought process on acquiring and then the exit?
I'm open to both. I met with investment bankers down in Scottsdale a couple of months ago, and they told me where I needed to be as far as EBITDA wise in order for me to exit to PE or even to get some interest of PE. And so we're kind of monitoring that and seeing, I think with our next acquisition, if we can pull this off, we got a big deal going right now. 3 companies all in one, trying to get a big expansion loan to acquire them. We're rolling them all up. If we can get this deal done, it should be pretty big for us, and it'll get our EBITDA up pretty high, close enough to where we need to be, to where we can maybe start attracting some attention. And I don't know, man. We're just going to see where the offers play out. I love what I do. So, if I ever sell out in some capacity, I think that I would want to stay on in some role of whether acquiring more companies or helping them grow in some capacity, or go back doing it all over again, starting another vertical. I mean, we have med spas, we have anti-aging clinics, we do all kinds of stuff. So
okay, give me some of this the secret sauce. Where do you have to be EBITDA wise?
How do I look so young? Is that what you're gonna say for my anti?
I mean, yeah, I need to go whatever med spa you got.
No, what were you saying about the EBITDA?
Yeah, just like fill me in. What do PE firms look for? What do the investment bankers kind of say?
Yeah, they're looking at like 5 million of EBITDA. Mm-hmm. So if we can get to that mark in one vertical. So not like JW Global as a global company. They want one vertical, and then they'll buy that for their fund. That's what they want. So that's our target. We're now trying to get under one vertical. That's the thing right now. We don't have that under one vertical. We're not there yet either under all of our companies, but we're close. But if we can, get it in one vertical, then, we would probably shop it out, put it to market, and see who would be interested and get some LOIs,
I'm curious, looking back, would you have niched down just in one vertical, like to start, or do you kind of like having it diversified in multiple different industries?
I'm doing both. I like the diversification because like my transportation companies are very heavy AR, meaning like accounts receivable. So we have some months where we crush it and we get a whole bunch of checks in. We have some months where we're like, God damn, how are we going to pay the payroll? We got to pull off lines of credit. That's the nature of the beast of like when you're doing like a couple $1 million a month in AR. That's just where we're at. But I like the diversification because my med spas and anti-aging clinic, it's all cash. So we're not having to wait to take draws or distributions. We can take them at the end of the month because what we make is what we make, So it's a lot cleaner. It's a lot more consistent. But the transportation companies are great. So that's the thing, right? The anti-aging clinics are not making as much cash flow wise than the transportation companies, but they produce the cash. The transportation companies produce the cash flow, but always don't produce the cash consistently. So that's why I like having both. That makes sense.
I like that. Yeah. Okay, so people are listening, Josh. They're like, dude, I like this guy. He's sharing the wins, but he's also sharing the losses, and it really goes on in business. Are you looking for partners? Like, what are you looking for in your business?
Yeah, man, we're always looking for partners. Every single deal I have, we have partners in them. And so typically what we do is, we will acquire the SBA debt. Like we can, with our balance sheet and whatnot, financial statements, we're able to go out and acquire, these companies, use our balance sheet. So we just ask that if you come on with us, you invest with us, and typically we'll ask you to come on and fund like a down payment or buy into some equity at some point for operating capital, whatever it may be. And you can join the journey that we're going to be on of acquiring this next deal. And so every single company we own, we have minority investors on. We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you as a partner. I mean, we don't take on many, so every deal probably has 1 or 2 or three max minority partners for a very minority share. But the great thing about that is that you're getting the share and the growth of these huge companies. And then one day, hopefully down the road, if you're in that right vertical with us, then you might be able to max out and get that nice high multiple. I mean, if we're buying at 3x and we can sell the PE for 7 8, that's a huge return on your back end money. That's not including the cash flow. Cash flow is just there to keep you satisfied and fed. And then, we make our money really on the back end when we do sell at some point. That's if we do sell.
What does your minority, partners typically look like? Are they W-2 high income earners? Are they, people that just want cash flow and they're in different industries?
Yeah, it's typically W-2 folks. Usually have a lot of W-2, guys and gals that are just, they're looking. This is the thing that I get a lot, Jesse, is a lot of people want to get into business acquisitions. They want to do what I do, but they're petrified. Like they're so scared. And so they're like, you know what? Let me just invest with you. You know what you're doing, and I'm going to learn a little bit how you're doing it. And then maybe I might take the leap after that and do it, So that's typically our typical investor.
I love it. What's a question I haven't asked you that you're like, man, I hope Jesse would ask me this question?
Man, I don't know. I mean, I feel like we went through like my journey here, but I'll tell you this. I was talking to somebody about this on a consult call today, and he was telling me, he was like, what do you think is like the biggest roadblock, for most investors like myself getting a deal? And I said, the biggest roadblock is most people give up way too soon. Like this is not real estate where you put an offer in and like, you put an offer in of 2 or 3 deals and then bam, you get one. This is like you're underwriting tons of deals, you're signing NDAs, you're looking at all these packages, and you may write an offer on 5, or maybe you probably write an offer on 10, and you might get one that accepts your offer, and then that deal may die during even more due diligence. So my best suggestion is that just stick with it because you will close. But the problem is people give up way too soon. So, if you're doing this for 6 months and you still haven't closed a deal, tough shit. Keep going. This is normal. Like it's a normal thing. That's the biggest thing. I think people are like, our society is so driven by like quick wins, like quick, instant gratification that, this game is not a game for instant gratification. It doesn't happen like that. So that would be my best advice is just stick with it. And keep pounding away. Some of the best deals take a year or so to get done. And don't be surprised if you get rejected on a deal and it comes back around like 4 months later.
How important is routine for you? Do you have like a morning routine?
Yes. I'm building a house right now. So once I get into my new house, we have a sauna, a cold plunge, the whole 9 yards. Once I get into my house, yes, that was my routine, man. I did sauna, I did cold plunge every single day. I worked out, walked on my treadmill, like I did the whole 9 yards. Now I'm in a rental right now, so I'm like kind of in between. As soon as my house is done, man, I can't wait to get back. I kind of half-ass it right now. It's like, because I don't have my cold plunge, it's just different, It's just, I have to go to like cryotherapy or whatever to go get my fix, and I don't know, not interested.
You mentioned having the routine of like sauna, cold plunge, but now you're doing more cryotherapy, and because you're in the rental and you're building the house. Does your med spa, is that local? Does that have some of those, fun things?
No, man. My med spa, we have 2 of them. We have one in Orlando, Florida, one in Panama City Beach. No, unfortunately, we don't have that there. And so no, I don't get the benefits to use it. No, I'd love to. I'm also like I use peptide therapy and all that stuff as well because they're in Florida. I can't use I'm in Louisiana, so I can't use any of it. So I don't get to go there. When I'm in Orlando, I'll go there. I might be able to get like a facial or something, but that's about it. I don't visit them that much.
Well, dude, as we wrap up, first of all, Josh, it's been awesome just kind of, talking through your journey and learning about what you're doing, because I can relate to a lot of it with a lot of our members in our, crew where they're 7 to 9 figure entrepreneurs, and a lot of them started in real estate and then now transitioning into more business and acquisition. One of our guys, Cody Barton, he actually has like a $10 million real estate portfolio. He's like, Jesse, I'm going to put all this into now acquiring more businesses. It's a topic that we talk about quite often, but Growth House in general, we're very much a go-giving community. So there's going to be people who want to reach out, but no one's going to reach out and say, hey, Josh, can I pick your brain over DMs? Like, we want to provide some kind of value for you. So what's something that we can do as a community before we reach out and ask you a question or, anything in that sort?
Yeah, man. Look, I'm actually open to that. So if you have somebody that's interested, I have 2 things. You can shoot me a DM and I'll give you quick answers, but it's going to be very short. My recommendation is you can go book. I have a little consult call link on my Instagram. It's $97 15 minutes. It's probably the best $97 I'll ever spend. I'll talk with you and work through your problems. I've had some calls that go for 30 minutes. I mean, I really don't care, man. I do it. I don't do it for the money. I do it just because I want to make sure that you're serious and committed, and I'm going to block out my time. I want to make sure you're going to show up, so I don't need the $97. So anyway, I mean, that would be the best thing I would tell you is go click that link, book a call, and we can talk through it. Again, I do a lot of those consult calls, and I love doing it. I love helping people. It's kind of in my blood, and so I'm happy to help your audience.
I love it, man. I appreciate it. And what's the best way people follow you? Is it Instagram and LinkedIn? What's the best ways?
Yeah, best is Instagram. The real Josh Wilson. Very easy to find me. You'll see I got a ton of content on there, a ton of real estate stuff, business acquisition stuff, relationship advice, all that good stuff. So it's all on.
Oh man, okay, you tease me too much. Give me one little relationship advice real quick before we.
Oh man, relationship advice. I would tell you that sometimes, look, I dated. Okay, so I dated for I dated heavily for like 6-7 months, and then when you think that, I dated very hard. So went around, did the whole thing, did the apps, did all that. And I finally gave it up. I said, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm taking a break. I was like, this is enough. I was burnt out. As soon as that happened, boom, my fiance showed up. Just don't be surprised when those things happen. Sometimes when you're not looking for it, it shows up right at your door. The problem is, what I've noticed is you got to be ready to receive it. Most people are not ready to receive it. So just remember, when it shows up, whether it's a relationship, whether it's money, whether it's a business, whether it's a piece of real estate, sometimes it always shows up. Most people, though, are just, they're not ready to receive that just yet. And they're like, oh, man, I don't deserve that, or it's not for me, or, all these different excuses. So just make sure you're mentally ready to receive it and let the chips fall where they may. But sometimes, man, when you focus on yourself, you stop looking, boom, all of a sudden you just start attracting that energy. And that's what happened for me. So.
Sure, that's a mic drop right there. We might have to run it back and do another podcast about relationships. Josh Wilson, everybody, it was a pleasure, my guy. We're definitely going to stay in touch.
Awesome, man. Thanks, Jesse.